Once upon a time, in a remote village nestled deep in the forest, there lived a young girl named Emily. Emily was known for her beauty and kindness, but she also had a dark secret: she was plagued by nightmares that left her trembling with fear every night. One day, Emily's nightmares began to seep into her waking world. She would see shadows lurking in the corners of her eyes, and feel cold breath on the back of her neck. Her parents became increasingly worried as she started to lose weight and sleep, and they sought the help of their village's wise woman. The wise woman listened carefully to Emily's story and offered her a solution: she must seek out a rare herb that only grew deep in the forest. The herb, the wise woman claimed, would bring an end to Emily's nightmares. Emily, being desperate for relief, agreed to undertake the journey. She set out early one morning, armed with nothing but a basket and a vague description of where the herb might be found. As she walked deeper into the forest, the trees grew thicker and the air grew colder. Emily sensed she was not alone, but when she turned around, there was nothing there. Hours passed, and Emily grew tired and hungry. She stumbled upon a small clearing and decided to rest for a while. It was then that she saw the figure standing at the edge of the clearing, watching her. Emily's heart raced as she realized it was not human. Its limbs were too long, its eyes too big and unblinking. Emily tried to run, but her legs refused to obey her. The creature moved closer, its long fingers reaching out to touch her face. Emily closed her eyes and waited for the worst. But instead of pain, she felt a strange calmness wash over her. When Emily opened her eyes again, the creature was gone, and in its place was the herb she had been searching for. She picked it up and continued her journey back home, feeling lighter than she had in months. But the relief was short-lived. That night, Emily's nightmares returned with a vengeance. This time, they were even more vivid and terrifying than before. She saw the creature again and again, each time closer to her bed. Emily's parents tried to comfort her, but nothing seemed to work. They went back to the wise woman, who revealed that the creature was a spirit that haunted those who ventured too deep into the forest. And now that Emily had seen it, it would never leave her alone. The only way to appease the spirit, the wise woman said, was to offer it as sacrifice. Emily's parents refused at first, but as their daughter grew weaker and weaker, they realized they had no choice. One night, they lured a stray dog into their home and offered it to the spirit. For a few weeks, Emily's nightmares ceased. But then, they returned again, this time even worse than before. Emily saw not just the spirit, but all the dogs in the village, howling in pain and agony. She knew then that the sacrifice had not been enough, that the spirit wanted something more. And so, Emily made a decision. She would venture back into the forest, deeper than she had ever gone before, and face the spirit once and for all. Armed with only her courage and the herb, she set out on her quest. The forest was darker than she remembered, and the air was thick with an eerie silence. Emily felt the eyes of the spirits on her, watching her every move. But she did not falter. Finally, she came upon a clearing where the spirit stood waiting for her. It was even more terrifying up close. Its skin was white and translucent, and its eyes blazed red like fire. Emily held out the herb. "Take this," she said, "and leave me in my village in peace." The spirit hesitated for a moment, then reached out and took the herb. Emily closed her eyes and waited for the worst. But when she opened her eyes again, the spirit was gone. She felt a cool breeze brush against her skin, and heard the sound of leaves rustling in the wind. Emily returned to her village, changed forever. She had faced her fears and emerged victorious, but she knew that the memory of the spirit would haunt her for the rest of her life. Months went by, and Emily's nightmares did not return. She lived a peaceful life, helping her parents with their farm and spending time with her friends. But one day, as she was walking through the forest, she saw something that made her blood run cold. It was the same figure she had seen months ago, standing at the edge of the clearing. Emily froze, unsure of what to do. The figure moved closer, its long fingers reaching out to touch her face. But this time, Emily did not close her eyes. She stood her ground, staring into the figure's unblinking eyes. And slowly, it began to change. Its limbs shortened, its eyes became human-like. And then, Emily recognized it. It was a young man, not much older than she was. He looked confused and scared, and as Emily studied him further, she realized he was covered in scratches and bruises. "Who are you?" Emily asked softly. The young man shook his head. "I don't know," he whispered, "I don't remember anything." Emily took the young man back to her village, where he was nursed back to health. He had no memory of who he was or how he had ended up in the forest, but Emily felt a strange connection to him. Eventually, the young man decided to stay in the village and start a new life. He and Emily became close friends, and some even whispered that they were more than that. But they didn't care about the rumors, they were happy just to be together. Years went by, and Emily grew old. She often thought back to the time when she had faced her fears and found the herb that had changed her life forever. And she realized that sometimes, the things we fear the most can lead us to unexpected places and unexpected people, if only we have the courage to face them head on. As Emily lay on her deathbed, surrounded by her loved ones, she felt at peace. She had lived a full life, and she knew that her legacy would live on through the people she had touched. And as she closed her eyes for the final time, she saw the figure of the young man standing at the foot of her bed, smiling at her with gratitude and love. Emily smiled back, knowing that she had found something greater than any herb or cure, the power of love and compassion to heal even the deepest wounds.